Hello friends, myself Dr. RPS Chauhan, Professor and Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at IMS Engineering College, Ghaziabad. I am here to take a new lecture and I welcome you all in my new lecture of the subject microprocessor and microcontroller. And in this lecture I am going to discuss RS-232, that is nothing but the commonly used communication standard. So, let us see RS-232 protocol and what is the basics of this RS-232. So, RS-232 is one of the most widely used techniques to interface external equipment with computers. So, what is the use of that? RS-232 is nothing but is a widely used, nowadays it is very common, which is very much widely used technique to interface external equipment with the computers. If you want to interface any external equipment with the computer, nowadays it is very much common, which is RS-232 is a serial communication standard developed by the Electronic Industry Association. So, it is developed by the Electronic Industry Association and Telecommunication Industry Association, that is TIA. RS-232 defines the signal connecting between DT. DT means data terminal equipment and data communication equipment. Here DT stands for data terminal equipment and an example for DT is a computer. So, your computer is nothing but is a data terminal equipment and DC stand for data communication equipment, data circuit terminating equipment, and example for DC is a modem. So, modem is nothing but data communication equipment and computer is nothing but data terminal equipment. RS-232 was introduced in the year 96, way back, that is in the year 1960s, and was originally known as EIA, Recommended Standard R232. RS-232 is one of the oldest serial communication standards which ensure simple connectivity and compatibility across different manufacturers. So, it will ensure that it is a simple communication device which has the compatibility across different manufacturers. So, where the different manufacturer means when the different manufacturing devices, the devices manufactured by a different manufacturer. So, it will provide the compatibility between the data terminal equipment and data communication equipment. Originally, the DT in RS-232 are electromechanical typewriters and DC are the modem. So, originally the DT is nothing but the example is nothing but electromechanical typewriter and DC is nothing but the modem. RS-232 uses serial communication. So, it uses serial communication where one bit of data is sent at a time. So, in serial communication we will send one bit data at a time over a single data lines or over a single wires. So, this is contrast to parallel communication where multiple bits of data are sent at a time using multiple data lines. So, we know that in case of serial communication the data can be transmitted one bit by bit and we use single line, while in case of the synchronous or the parallel communication where the data are sent in multiple bits are sent and we use the multiple data lines. So, this is the figure of this RS-232 protocol. We have the data terminal equipment which is the computer and DC is the modem data communication equipment and these are the transmitter, receiver and the ground signal. So, this way it will ensure the proper communication between DT and DC. And electrical characteristics of RS-232 standard. The electrical characteristics of RS-232 defines the specification related to voltage levels, line impedance and rate of change of signal level. So, what is the electrical characteristics? It will defines the voltage level, what is the voltage level of RS-232, the line impedance and the rate of change of signal level. So, this is the electrical characteristics. So, let us see the voltage levels. RS-232 was defined way before TTL logic, way before TTL logic means before the invention of TTL logic circuitry, and hence it is not unexpected that RS-232 does not use the TTL specific 5 volt and ground logic level. The logic 1 in RS-232 is described as being in the voltage range of -15 volt to -3 volt, and logic 0 is described as the voltage range of +3 volt to +15 volt, that is low level voltage is logic 1. So, this is required to remember low level voltage is logic 1 and high level voltage is logic 0. So, in RS-232 we can defined low level voltage is logic 1 and high level voltage is logic 0. Typically, the logic 1 in RS-232 will be minus 12 volt and logic 0 will be plus 12 volt. So, this is the significance. If you are talking about RS-232, the electrical characteristic, that is the voltage level. So, minus 12 volt is logic 1 and plus 12 volt is logic 0. Historically, logic 1, that is minus 15 volt to minus 3 volt, is referred to as a marking, and logic 0, that is plus 3 volt to plus 15 volt, is referred as a spacing. So, this is the RS-232 voltage level. So, this is the inactive condition, that is minus 12, this is logic level, that is minus 12 to plus 12 volt. So, this is plus 12 volt is logic 0, minus 12 volt is logic 1. So, this is the representation of the voltage level, that is the voltage level of RS-232. So, here the minus 12 volt is nothing but logic 1 and plus 12 is nothing but the logic 0. So, this is the representation of the voltage level of RS-232. Next electrical characteristic is the slew rate. The other important electrical characteristic is the rate of change of signal level, that is called the slew rate. So, what is slew rate? It is the rate of change of the signal level is called slew rate. The maximum slew rate in RS-232 is limited to 30 volt per microsecond. So, this is the limited the rate of slew rate is limited in RS-232, which is 30 volt per microsecond. Also, a maximum bit rate of 20 kbps is also defined. So, this limitation of standard helps in reducing the cross talk with adjacent signals. So, this is the advantage. This limitation of standard helps, it will helps in reducing the cross talk with adjacent signals. So, there must be a noise due to the adjacent channel interference, due to the interference of the adjacent channel means the nearby channel. So, this can be avoided with the help of this RS-230 because of this its limitation. The next characteristic is the line impedance. The line impedance, that is impedance of the wire between the DTE, that is the computer data terminal equipment and data communication equipment modem device, is specified to be 3 ohm to 7 ohm. So, this is the line impedance which is specified in RS-232. This is the electrical characteristics which is 3 ohm to 7 ohm. Also, the original RS-232 standard specifies the maximum length of cable as 15 meters, but the revised standard specify the maximum length terms of capacitance per unit length. So, this is the length of the line impedance or the length of the line which is about 15 meters. So, this is the electrical characteristics of RS-232 standard. Now, let us see the mechanical specification of RS-232 standards. The mechanical specification of RS-232 covers the mechanical interface of the standards. The RS-232 standards specify a 20 pin D-type connector to support the full functionality of RS-232. So, this is nothing but the 25 pin connector. So, we have the total 25 pin, and this is not the functionality of each and every pin is shown in this particular figure. So, in early days we can use this 25 pin connector generally in the dot matrix printer to interface the printer, dot matrix printer, with the computer, that is nothing but the data terminal equipment, and the printer dot matrix printer is nothing but data communication equipment. So, this D type connector, which is nothing but 25 pin D type connector, is generally used in that particular case. Nowadays, we have using this RS-232 point, which is 9 pin male connector. So, we have the various pins function, that is pin number 1 for DCD, RXD, receive data, transmit data, data terminal ready, that ground. These are the various pins, so the functions of the RS-232, which is the 9 pin connector. The mechanical specification of RS-232 standard. So, there are 3 type of signals in this mechanical specification. They are the data, the second is control and timing, and third is the ground. So, these are the 3 different types of signal which is in the RS-232 standard. The following table shows the list of the pins, their direction in communication along with their signals. So, we have the transmitter data, receive data. So, this pins are used for data transmission operation. So, this signal type is the data, and the rest of the pin, that is request RTS, CTS, DCR, DTR, RI, these are used for the control operation. Then transmit signal element timing for DCM, receiver signal element timing, these are nothing but the timing signal. Secondary transmitted data, secondary received data. So, these are again the data signals. Then secondary request to send, secondary clear to send, secondary receive to lines signal detector, these are nothing but the control signals. So, the directions are given, that is DC to DCE, from DCE. So, these are the direction whether the data is transmitted from the DCE to DTE or DTE to DCE. So, this is the mechanical specification of RS-232 standard. With the help of this, we can identify the required operation of this RS-232 standards. Next is the D9 connector. As the electronic equipment and devices are getting smaller. So, nowadays the electronics equipment devices becomes more compact, more smaller. So, we do not have a room for large connectors like DB25, and most common application do not requires all 25 pins in the connectors. Hence, a reduced function D pin connector is used commonly, which is very much common nowadays. The 9 pin connector is called DE9, often wrongly called as DB9, and it is a D type subminiature D sub connector. The following image shows the DE9 male and female connector. So, this is the image which shows the DB9 connector, the 9 connector. So, this is the connector and the various signals which are used. We have the ground signal, then we have the signal CD, transmitter and receiver, and these are the male and female, that is DE9 male connector and this is DE9 female connector. So, this is the female connector and this is the male connector. So, these are the connector which are used nowadays as the electronic equipment and devices are more compact and more smaller. Instead of using this 25 pin DB connector, we are using this DE9 connectors. So, let us see the functionality of this particular D9 connector. The pins in D9 connector, their names and description are given in the following table. So, we have the 9 pin connector. The first CD is nothing but carrier detect incoming signal from DC. So, it is used to detect the incoming signal from the data communication equipment. Then we have the pin number 2 for RD, receive data, incoming data from the DCE. So, it will receive the data from the data communication equipment. We have DD, TD, transmit data, outgoing data to DCE, data communication equipment. Then DTR, data terminal ready, outgoing handshaking signal. So, this is the signal which is used for handshaking purpose, that is the data terminal ready. Then we have the ground signal, this is the common reference voltage between the DT and DCE. And DSR, next pin number 6 is DSR, data set ready, incoming handshaking signal. So, this is again a handshaking signal between the DT and DCE. Then we have RTS signal, that is pin number 7, that is the outgoing flow control signal. So, this is used for the it is used as a control signal. Then we have clear to send CTS pin number 8, incoming control signal, and RI ring indicator in incoming signal for data communication equipment. So, these are the various signal used by DE9 connector, and this is the functionality and the direction, it is the incoming signal or outgoing signal. Function and procedural specification. So, let us see the function and procedural specification of this RS-232. Function specification, since RS-232 is considered a complete standard, it defines more than electrical and mechanical characteristics. RS-232 standards also define the functions of different signals used in the interface between the data terminal equipment and data communication equipment. The signals are classified as common, data, timing and control signals. The common signal is the ground signal. We have the data, the signal which is used to carry the data between the DT and DCE, and the timing and control signal to provide the necessary control and the timing signal for the required operation. The procedural specification, the procedural specification of RS-232 specify the sequence of operation that must be carried out when DT and DCE are connected. So, whenever the DT and DCE are connected, so where the sequence of operation will take place, assume a computer which is also known as DTE is connected to modem, that is DCE, through RS-232 interface in order to send data from computer to modem. So, if you want to send the data from computer to modem, the following procedural must be followed. So, these are the things, these are the procedure which is required to follow when the data terminal equipment will send the signal to the modem, which is data communication equipment. When modem DCE is ready to receive, it will send a DCE ready signal. So, when the modem is ready to receive the signal, so it will send a data communication DCE ready signal. When the computer DT is ready to send the data, it sends a ready to send signal. So, these are the signals which are used, or the kind of the order which can be followed between the DT and DCE. The modem DCE then send a clear to send CTS signals to indicate that data can be sent by computer. Finally, the computer, that is DTE, send data on transmit data, that is TD line to the modem, that is data communication equipment. So, these are nothing but the procedural specification, and with the help of this procedure the required procedure which is required to follow between the DTE and DCE to ensure the proper communication between the computer and the modem. Next is the practical implementation of RS-232. The voltage level of RS-232 are very different from most of the system designed today. So, as we know that the RS-232 is comes into picture a way back, that is in the year 1960, before the invention of the TTL logic. So, we have the different logic levels. So, the minus 12 volt is represented by this logic 1 and plus 12 volt is represented by logic 0 in this RS-232, as we have seen in the electrical the voltage electrical characteristics electrical specification, that is the voltage level of RS-232. So, there is a need of the another device, that is nothing but this is a job to perform by dedicated level converter. So, we use this dedicated level converter. Dedicated level converter means we need a logic level converter or voltage level converter which will convert the RS-232 voltage level to the required level for the TTL circuit, that is transistor logic circuit. So, IC likes MAX232 by Maxim integrated for example. So, this is nothing but the dedicated level converter. This MAX232 is nothing but it is a IC which is used as a dedicated level converter. Level converter means it will a voltage level converter. These IC take in RS-232 signals and generate a TTL level voltage. So, a very important point why we use this MAX232. These IC takes in the RS-232 signal. So, RS-232 signal, see here the RS-232 signal is receive the RS-232 signal and convert to the TTL logic level. So, what is the job of MAX232? It will receive the signal RS-232 and will convert to the TTL level voltage, TTL logic level voltage. These ICs also invert the signals as low voltage level in RS-232 or logic 1. So, we know that in case of RS-232 the low levels will represent the logic 1 and high voltage level is represented as logic 0. So, we require to invert this logic. The low level is required to represent as logic 0 and high level is required to represent as logic 1. So, this is nothing but we need to invert this logic of RS-232 to the required logic. So, with the help of this MAX232, the following image show the implementation of RS-232 driver in a real time application. So, here we have the logic levels. So, here we use this MAX232, that is Maxim integrated, to convert the TTL the RS-232 voltage level to the TTL level, that is logic 0 is represented by low level and logic 1 is represented by high level. So, this is the requirement of this MAX232. Then the further continuation in practical implementation of RS-232, here the UART, universal asynchronous receiver transmitter generates and receive the necessary signal for serial communication. So, we use this UART, that is nothing but universal asynchronous receiver transmitter will generate and receive the necessary signal for serial communication. The RS-232 driver is responsible for converting signal between TTL and RS-232 interface. So, here we use this MAX232 which will convert the RS-232 voltage to the required level. The communication system mentioned in this example is of asynchronous type and it requires synchronization bit. So, the communication system mentioned in this example is nothing but it is a asynchronous type. So, and it requires synchronization bit. So, what is this synchronization bit? So, in case of asynchronous communication we have start bit and stop bit, one or more stop bit, and error checking bit, that is called the parity checker. The UART in the above example is responsible for generating the start, stop and parity bit when the transmitting the data and also detecting the error while receiving the data. The following image illustrates a typical RS-232 application between the computer. So, here this is the computer, that is DTE, data terminal equipment, and a modem which is represented by data communication equipment. So, computer and the modem. So, computer is nothing but it is a DTE, data terminal equipment, and modem is nothing but it is a DC, that is data communication DCE, this is data communication equipment. So, it is data terminal equipment and data communication equipment. Here the PC or computer is the DTE and the modem is the DCE. The computer and modem communicate with each other using RS-232 interface, and the communication between the modem is established using the telecommunication link. So, we use this telecommunication link to ensure the proper communication between the DTE and DCE. So, here the example of DTE is the computer system and DCE is nothing but the modem. So, let us understand how RS-232 works. In RS-232, the data is transmitted serially in one direction over a single data line. So, whenever the data is transmitted serially over a single data line, in order to establish two-way communication, we need at least 3 wires, that is the receiver, transmitter and the ground signal. Apart from the control signals, a byte of data can transmit it at any time, provided the previous byte has already been transmitted. So, here the communication takes place between DT and DTE with the help of this RX, TX and ground signals. RX is used for receive the data, TX is used to transmit the data, and ground is nothing but the common between the DT and DCE apart from the control signals. RS-232 follows asynchronous communication protocol. So, there is no clock signals to synchronize transmitter and receiver. So, remember that in case of asynchronous, there is no clock signal to synchronize the operation of transmitter and receiver. Hence, it uses start and stop bit to inform the receiver when to check for data. So, the synchronization takes place with the help of the start and stop bit. So, before the transmission will start, the transmitter will send the start bit to inform the data communication equipment that the transmission will begin, and when it will send the stop bit, it will inform that the data transmission is over. So, this way the synchronization will take place between DT and DCE. Hence, this delay is nothing but an inactive state. There is a delay of certain time between the transmission of each bit, because we include the start and stop bit. So, there is a kind of delay between this each transmission, and this delay is nothing but an inactive state. The signal is set to logic 1, that is -12 volt. If you remember, logic 1 in RS-232 is -12 volt and logic 0 is +12 volt. For the transmission, for the transmitter, the DT sends a start bit to the receiver, the DC to inform that the data transmission start from the next bit. The start bit is always 0 and +12 volt. The next 5 to 9 characters are the data bits. So, when the data is transmitted between DT and from DT, so first it will send the start bit by sending the 0, and it will inform that from the next 5 to 9 character is nothing but the data, and it will send the next bit, which is nothing but the stop bit, to ensure that the transmission is over. So, here the +12 volt is nothing but it will indicate the 0, which is logic 0, and -12 volt is nothing but the logic 1. Now, we understand how the RS-232 works. If parity bit is used, a maximum of 8 bits can be transmitted. So, when we use the parity bit, so a maximum of 8 bit can be transmitted between the DTE and DCE. If parity bit is not used, then 9 data bits can be transmitted. So, when we use the parity bit, then only the maximum 8 bit can be transmitted between from the DTE, and if the parity bit is not used, then we can transmit the maximum, that is 9 bit. After the data is transmitted, the transmitter send the stop bit. When the data transmission is over, the transmitter will send the stop bit to inform that the transmission is over. It can either be 1 or 1.5 bit or 2 bits. So, the stop bit can be 1, 1.5 or 2. The following image shows the frame format of RS-232 protocol. So, this is nothing but the frame format. So, we have the start bit, which is represented by 0, then we have the data bit, that is B0 to B7. So, this is nothing but the 8 bit, that is B0 to B7. So, this is the 8 bit, and this 0 will indicate the start bit, and we have the parity bit and stop bit, that is S1 and S2. So, this is the image which will shows the data frame operations. This when the data is in the framed in between the start and stop bit, this is called the data framing of RS-232. Then handshaking process of RS-232. Handshaking is a process of dynamically setting the parameters of communication between the transmitter and receiver before communication begins. So, handshaking is nothing but it is a process which is dynamically setting the parameters, the various parameters between the data terminal equipment and data communication equipment to ensure the proper communication, or when the communication begins from the DTE. The need for handshaking is dictated by the speed at which the transmitter DT transmit the data, the speed at which the receiver receive the data, and the rate at which the data is transmitted. The need for handshaking signal is used to detect the speed of data transmission operation between the DT and DC. In an asynchronous data transmission system, there can be no handshaking signal. So, if we talking about asynchronous data transmission operation, so there will be no handshaking signal. So, handshaking signal is absent in case of asynchronous data transmission system or operation. Hardware handshaking and software handshaking are the two classification, the two types of signals which can be used for data transfer operation. So, let us understand what is the in handshaking. The transmitter first asks the receiver whether it is ready to receive the data. The receiver then checks its buffer, and if the buffer is empty, it will then tell the transmitter that it is ready to receive the data. So, what is the job of handshaking signal? It will first check the readiness or the status of the buffer, receive buffer. If the receive buffer is empty, then it will send the signal to the transmitter, and it will inform the transmitter that the receiver is ready to receive the data. So, this is the use of handshaking signal during the handshaking process. The transmitter will transmit the data and it is loaded into the receiver buffer. So, whenever the transmitter is transmit the data is loaded into the receiver buffer for particular moment, and then it will received by the receiver. During this time, the receiver tells the transmitter not to send any further data until the data in the buffer has been read by the receiver. So, whenever the data is present in the receiver buffer, it will inform the transmitter no need to send the data again unless and until this data can be received or read by the receiver. So, this is the job, or this is the purpose of the handshaking signal in handshaking process. The RS-232 protocol defines 4 signals for the purpose of handshaking: ready to send, clear to send, data terminal ready, and data set ready. So, these are the protocols which is defined 4 signal for the purpose of handshaking. So, the handshaking signal will the signals are used, or which with the help of this a kind of protocol is defined between the proper communication between the data terminal equipment and data communication equipment. So, these handshaking signals are ready to send denoted by RTS, clear to send it is denoted by CTS, data terminal ready which is denoted by DTR, and data set ready which is denoted by DSR. So, these are the very important useful signal in the handshaking process between the DT and DC. The handshaking process can be the new standard, that is RS-232 define 8 signal for the handshaking process. So, with the help of this RS-232, the various signals of RS-32 use as a handshaking signal, the 8 signals of RS-232 between DT and DC. So, these signals are used as a handshaking signal. So, which these signals are carrier detect, transmit data, receive data, request to send, clear to send, data terminal ready, data set ready, ring indicator, and the ground. So, ground is nothing but the common signal between the DT and DC. So, whenever the transmitter will transmit the data, it will send the handshaking signal to inform that the transmitter wants to transmit the data. So, in response to DC, the DC will send the required signal, and once the buffer of the receiver is empty, then the DC will send the handshaking signal to send the data can be transmitted from DT to DC. Then the limitation of RS-232 protocol requires a common ground between the transmitter, DT, and receiver. This is the limitation, hence the reason for shorter cable between DT and DC in RS-232 protocol. So, this is the limitation of RS-232, because in this RS-232 we require a common signal between DT and DC. So, normally a very short cable in between DT and DC. The signal in the line is highly susceptible to noise. The noise can be either internal or external. So, the signals, the lines which can be used for RS-232 is highly susceptible to the noise, and this noise can be either internal noise or external noise. So, this is the another limitation of RS-232. If there is an increase in baud rate and length of the cable, there is a chance of crosstalk introduced by the capacitance between the cables. So, if we increase the cable, so there is a chance of crosstalk between the cables. The voltage levels in RS-232 are not compatible with modem TTL or CMOS logic. We need an external level converter. So, as we know that in case of RS-232, the logic 0 is represented by plus 12 volt and logic 1 is represented by minus 12 volt. So, it is not compatible with the device that is TTL or CMOS. So, we need a level converter in between RS-232 and the TTL circuitry and CMOS logic circuitry. So, this is the major limitation of RS-232 standards. Next is the application of RS-232. Though RS-232 is very famous serial communication protocol, it is now has been replaced with advanced protocol like USB. So, nowadays USB is very much common for data transfer operation between the two devices. Previously, we used for serial terminal like mouse, modem, etc. But RS-232 is still being used in some servo controller, CNC machines, PLC machines and some microcontroller boards use RS-232 protocol. So, these are the limitation, but still there is application of RS-232. It can be very much common in servo controller, CNC machines, PLC, that is programming logic controller machine, and some microcontroller board uses RS-232 protocols for the data transfer operation. Thanks you, that is all.